and welcome to Gaston Spotlight. I'm Kate Carmody. Today we have a fun guest. We have one of my former students, Garin Hyde. Garin actually was on the very first Gaston Spotlight in this very room.
In this very room.
I think that was like 14 years ago.
Was it that long ago?
13, 14 years, something like that.
Let's not talk about the years if we can. It was a while back.
Yeah.
And I remember there being far less things in this room.
Yep.
This is incredible, actually.
It's so different, right? And now we have the new Gaston College colors because we're now the Rhinos. It's so different.
Yeah, we didn't have a mascot when I was here.
No, we didn't have sports.
Yeah, we did have sports. That's
and
true.
now we're
That's
like
true.
all sports. That's
Yeah.
a huge
Yeah.
bit of what we do. So you have done so much since you've been here. But I remember when you left the program. Well, actually, I think you started your business while you were still in the program, right?
I had the encouragement to actually start my business while
Right.
doing
So
this.
you started Hydeography, right? So tell us about that.
Okay.
You've done almost 300 weddings, which is an accomplishment in itself.
That's
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. So tell us about that, how
Yeah.
it's been, the journey, all of that.
Yeah. Well, Hydeography is just a play off of photography, videography, things that I was actually able to.
And your last name.
And my last name, Hyde.
Yeah.
Really, it kind of spawned from realizing that it's not so much what you could do with a camera, but what you could do with a camera and be able to engage people at the same time. I think something that kind of separated me from a lot of other photographers and videographers that were around, because there was a lot of them at the time, and there still is now, it just seemed to have grown over the years, is that taking photos of people really, or video of people really leans heavily into, do you even get along with people? Do you enjoy hanging out with people, facilitating
You have to be a
moments?
people person,
You have to
right,
be a people
to do
person,
that.
unless you just want to, be a still life photographer or someone who goes out in nature, and there's plenty of room for advancement and really wonderful things within that too. But for me, I just enjoyed people too much, and I wanted to capture moments of people, and being in this department allowed me to really find that voice. And you're like, borrow some equipment, take it home with you, use it.
And how do you find the people, though? I know you know everyone. You're one of those people that knows all of Gaston County, right? That you're weirdly connected to like 5 people in this room right now that we found out before the show.
Just walking in the door.
Right,
Oh,
just
okay.
walking in the door.
Yeah.
People you didn't know you were connected to. But how do you find the people? How do you advertise your business?
That's a good question.
How does it grow?
That's a good question. I think, typically speaking, when it comes to finding clients or finding people that want to pay you money for the thing that you do, that is the ultimate hard part of all of this. And what I suggest doing to anyone out there wanting to do any of this, it's really just a matter of understanding what you can do, be really good with what you can do, even if you're not perfect with it, because guess what? You're never going to be perfect. Ever, right?
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, being confident enough in yourself to understand that I can just walk up to anyone, or a business, or a group of people at a wedding, and say, by the way, I do this. I'd love for you to take a look at some of my work. And really starting there. It's more or less letting what you do speak for itself. And then let the charisma flow over. Let people kind of enjoy you, because that's who they're hiring. And that's how you find the people. Give yourself to others whenever you're going. And that's true of anything, I think, in this country right now. We need to be giving more of ourself to others in a kind, loving way, because we are not in a great place. But we're not going to talk about that right now.
No, we do not. We do not want to talk about where this country is at all.
We don't have much time today. But it does indicate how you can find those clients, is that people are really searching for professionals in any category that really just want to connect with you.
Right.
What happened to connecting again?
I think that's kind of lost.
It is lost. It's lost with everything that we do. It's one of the reasons why I quickly agreed to do this today. You reached out yesterday, and it was like, absolutely, I'd love to do this.
Right. We had talked about you coming. You just hadn't found a good time.
And a good groove to make that work.
Right.
But when it comes to any work that I do and finding the clients of the work that I do, it's really just a matter of not being afraid to show what I do, and being able to be kind about it. And a little charismatic.
Yep, you've always had that. You've always been making us laugh for years. I was telling them before you got here that I have this memory of you
when I had energy.
Of you doing an ad for the Renaissance Festival, and you were wrapped in the green screen. Do you remember that?
I still have videos of that. Yes.
Okay, but
yes.
I remember that day we were all laughing
to...
kind of crazy. We might need to edit in that clip because it was really kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I thought what was kind of unique about your photography and videography is you always had a unique style. You had a very artistic style, and I feel like people are either drawn to that style or that's not for them. But you have a unique take on it. I feel like you have a unique take on it that people are very drawn to. So I think that's very cool.
And I want to speak on that just for a second.
Okay.
I wanted to have a sweet moment with Kate real quick. Thanks to you and encouraging me to kind of head the very first kind of film festival that we really had within the department, encouraged me to find my eye and realizing that my photography had that very almost like a snapshot from a film.
Are you talking about Lost in Transition?
I am talking about Lost in Transition.
Yeah, I just recently rewatched that.
I did too.
It's on YouTube, GC Video Production.
It still holds up. Actors who weren't actors being a part of it, you'll probably recognize some faces. But the fun of being a part of this department, one of the reasons I'm really stoked about not only being here with you, but being able to meet some of these new students and all of you back there that I can still see. Hi, how you doing? There's a big part of me that's excited about this because this is where, if you don't know what your voice is right now, you probably will being within this department. And my photography took that vibe from how I was able to experiment and try things, and you really opened up that big field of play for me, while also realizing that there's a fence line of learning that you have to stay within,
right? Because
you can wander too far off and get lost, and which is something I try to do a lot.
Right. Well, you seem to dabble in many, many, many things. Let's talk about your latest venture, the Living Rooms and Lizards, because I find that really interesting. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know much about Dungeons and Dragons, so you're not going to get any Dungeons and Dragons specific questions from me today. But I'm really interested in your business. I want to know kind of like...
We're going to change that, by the way.
What?
We're going to change your knowledge on Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, that'd be good.
Yeah.
So tell me about the business. I want to hear about the new board game that you guys have created. I think it's really cool what you're doing.
Thank you.
So tell us all about it.
Well, first of all, Living Rooms and Lizards. Can we? Is this one? This is on her. This is on me. This one's on me. Living Rooms and Lizards, Dungeons and Dragons. Holy mackerel! If you're not playing D&D right now, what are you doing with your life? D&D has changed my life. I've been playing since I was a kid, and really kind of off and on through my teens and 20s, and realized that through technology that we're stuck in constantly, the ever-evolving changing of information and the abundance of information that we have access to at our fingertips has pulled us away from sitting around a table with someone and just coming up with really cool ideas and talking together.
Is it the role-playing aspect that you're drawn to?
It's the creating the story together that I'm drawn to.
Okay.
It's not everything has to be on me. Even as a dungeon master or a game master, all I'm doing is creating a sandbox for all of those that create a character to play in. They often write the most of the story that I have structured out.
Okay.
So in other words, most times when I play D&D, I'll have options for them to play as their characters. Basically, this part of the town, if they leave here, they can experience this, and I create all these possibilities for them. That becomes worthless all the time because I can't predict what people do. We can't predict what people do. It's one of the greatest things, or greatest lessons I think D&D teaches us, is that we are all very individualistic. And when it comes to being in a fantasy world, playing in a game where it leans on role play and math and strategy and camaraderie, the last thing that you can do is plan too much for that.
Yeah.
Because it's just going to create its own creature, pun intended, with all of this. So Living Rooms and Lizards is a play off of Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
And the company itself started off as an instructional company that taught life lessons through role-playing games.
And you go to schools?
We go to schools.
So what ages do you?
Everywhere from 3rd grade up.
Okay.
We have
Third
a
grade
large
to
high school and sometimes colleges.
colleges, huh?
We
Interesting.
have visited some colleges and had some really great conversations, mainly about the therapy of D&D and how I'm currently actually going back to school to receive an education in tabletop play therapy.
Tabletop play therapy. I didn't
Yeah.
even know that was a thing.
I had to do a lot of research. A lot of research.
That's so cool.
But it's very cool, and it's allowing
And
me
different.
to. Well, the
Where
cool,
does one find a school for tabletop play therapy?
It's online. Very few colleges offer that as a full-term thing.
I'm shocked.
But it's, for me, I've learned that learning more about that and the education of all of us working together to be able to, I don't know, allow us to drop all the things that we do carry day to day and be able to say, at this table, you are not Kate anymore. You are Felixes, the barbarian from the north, and you have created this character. And usually when I help people create their characters, or I'm talking to a big group of people in an auditorium, I tell them every time I create a character with anyone, the first thing I really focus on is that character's flaws. We have to start off somewhere.
Right.
We're not the biggest and baddest and strongest and most powerful and got all the magic and at our fingertips. We don't start off that way.
Right.
And this, working within a broadcasting community, you don't start off knowing everything or knowing how to do it all.
Many think they do.
Many think they do, but they're corrected pretty quickly.
Right.
And that's what D&D does as well.
Humbled.
You're humbled often, but there's rewards.
Yep.
And there's excitement and adventure. And one of the things L&L really does best, I think, is give confidence to those that don't have it.
I love
give
that.
education to those
So
that
many
need it.
kids right now are struggling with confidence, especially after COVID.
Especially
and
after COVID.
yeah, they just lost confidence in themselves, and social media has sort of made that difficult for young people.
And I'm honored that I get to wake up every single day and be someone who is a safe space, someone who gets to encourage those that need it, and maybe not think that they need it, but whenever they have a chance to sit down and talk with me for a little bit.
I love that too about my job. It's the same thing. Same thing that appeals to me about this particular job that
We
I
get to
have.
pay attention.
Right.
Where other groups or facilities or whatever you may work in may not have that luxury.
Yeah.
We get to be really one-on-one, and sometimes get to be able to talk to the right group, the right kids, that want to do that thing.
Right.
You
can make a huge difference finding something for someone to connect with. Sometimes it's just finding that one thing
You
that
help
makes people feel seen, right?
And you help facilitate that with me, and I really appreciate that about
Aw, thanks.
Yeah.
So let's see this board game.
you. Well,
Did you?
That's the thing. I didn't really
You
bring it.
didn't bring the board game.
It's in my car.
He said he was going to bring the board game.
However, this is where we show pictures of it.
Okay.
The game itself is
Adventure Pouch.
Adventure Pouch. I call this game a gateway to D&D.
Okay.
D&D is complicated. There's books, there's dice, there's things to learn, there's a list of stuff to go over before you can even create a character. And what I like to do is I like to be able to think to myself, when creating a game that I want to get people roped into what I love, number one, it has to be entertaining, it has to be fun. But it also has to be different.
Yeah.
Most board games that we play, there's a winner
Right.
and there are losers. I'm not a big fan of that because D&D isn't that.
Yeah.
D&D is about winning. D&D is about working as a group, as a community, as a party, as a gang.
So
And
it's not a game where you go around the board and
It is not.
you have someone who wins.
It is not. The game itself
So
sets
what is the
up-
goal
The goal
of the
is
game?
there are cards in this game. There are characters that you get to pick from, and what's really cool is that most everything is dry erasable. So all of our neurodivergent friends here, all our neuro saucy friends can be able to mark and doodle and be able to. That's the point of half the game is marking off hearts and for hit points, and you have skills and marking those off as you use them.
Cool.
But the whole point of the game is to work together to get through 3 rooms of a dungeon
Okay.
where you pick up items, you fall into traps, you battle things, and then the very end of the game, you fight a monster. There's 10 cards to pick from, 10 possible monsters, and those are shuffled, and you pick one to fight to win. But the whole game is to win together. You have to get through this together. If one of you
That's
falls,
cool.
if one of you
That's cool.
falls
So
in a
it's like
room,
a true team effort. That's a way for people to connect in a way without screens. I love that.
that's exactly what D&D
So
is too.
where can I buy this game?
We are in development. We have just printed version 2.
Okay.
Version 2 is out, and we are playtesting.
Out where,
currently,
though?
Within our hands.
Okay,
we are
so
playtesting.
you are selling it? Or
We are not selling it currently.
You're just testing it right
however,
now.
we do have an estimated date.
Okay.
We're looking at the very beginning of summer, 2025.
Cool.
But we just got our license for it. We got everything covered and legally, so we don't get to lose anything that we've worked so hard on. But also, not to name drop or anything, but we may be playtesting to some members of Epic Games soon.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is huge.
That's really big.
And because that company dabbles in some board game stuff too, just not Fortnite and some other larger video games.
Yeah.
They know the power of sitting around the table with others and
Right.
playing something physical.
Sometimes it's just finding that partner that will help you connect to other things.
That's what we're hoping for.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So I know you've got other things going on too, as you always do. Even when you were a student here, you had your hands in many, many different things. Tell me about Highbrow Safety Works.
That is the most randomest thing I think I'm doing right now.
That is super random. When you sent it to me, I was like, what is... I'm just going to say, tell me about Highbrow Safety Works and let you talk about it, because it didn't...
This is one of...
Aviation?
Aviation, right.
And what about aviation?
What about aviation?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Like you're directing...
I'm directing,
filming,
and writing.
Aviation videos?
It's fun. This is using, what we do is we use well-known
Super
music
random.
videos, like Meatloaf or any of that's really, really old stuff. But choosing music that everyone would know if it popped up on the radio, we rewrite the lyrics to fit a safety lesson, a direction of, in this video we want to get across that mechanics need more supplies for the things that they do. So in other words, I'll find the clip and make sure that you get it.
Okay.
I acted as Meatloaf in a video where we were selling the fact
I need
that
to see this.
I would do anything with gloves, but I won't do that. And it's this message
funny.
of, we need supplies. I need better materials to be able to do the job that I need to do.
And who is watching these videos?
The aviation community. So essentially, anybody that works within any of the major airlines,
Okay.
Private or public. This also goes to military. This goes to anyone that is flying or controlling airports of
Interesting.
any size. And this is to educate them to, in other words, the reason I joined this is because a friend of mine who runs the company said, we need some creativity within this company.
Right, because you got to make it fun to
We
learn,
have to.
because otherwise it's so boring.
Trust me, this content on page, it's just,
Yeah.
wait, you want to pass out.
I can see that.
The excitement that I think I was able to add to with this company, because they were already doing great stuff, is that they were taking themselves a little too seriously. And I told them, if we're wanting to be funny while educating, we can't do that.
Right.
So jumping in and being able to help them write some really great stuff and being able to let them understand that they're going to get the point. Let's make them laugh along the way.
Right.
We are currently actually
Got to make training fun. We try to make learning fun. It's the same thing.
That's the only way I learn,
Right.
or truly learn, and let it sink in.
Yeah.
But highbrow is something that I'm valuing because it's saving lives. Not a lot of people here may know this unless you're a part of some sort of like aviation knowledge, or have a friend in the family or a family member that's a pilot or works in aviation. There are so many unnecessary deaths up in the sky, whether it's from takeoff to in the air to landing. And something that highbrow does beautifully is that it cares about the people that are both transporting goods, people, and everything in between.
That's cool.
And we want to make sure that we bring those numbers way down, and we're able to make the sky even way safer than it is, on paper, than being on the ground.
That's very cool. It's very random, though.
It is extremely random.
It's extremely random, but important, good. And it's another example of you bringing your creativity into something.
And a lesson to all of those watching and all those in the studio, that you could take this work and do anything with it. You could be able to contact any company, small or large, and be able to say, hey, I know how to work a camera. Hey, I know how to write for TV or film.
Yep.
Hey, I know how to be in front of a camera and interview. those things come in very, very handy.
Yep.
And you start to learn those things here, which is even cooler.
So cool.
I'm so happy to be here.
So tell me about, voice acting. I mean, even since you were here, that was always a passion of yours. I remember a broadcast speech many moons ago.
Do you remember I came in here wanting to do just radio? Do you remember that?
I do remember that. I do remember that. And after you did your first video, I was like, wait, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing here?
So yeah, what am I doing?
But you told me you're going to transition into voice acting. So tell me how you get those gigs, what kind of gigs you do, and how does that community work? I mean, I know obviously a little bit about it, but
you do.
But I want to hear your journey with it.
There is nothing more that I want to do in this life than be able to voice over cartoons, video games, fun commercials. I feel at some point in my kiddom, that's a term, you look it up, that there is this fascination with making silly voices. A lot of people that think about voice acting think that's what it really is just being able to do a lot of silly voices or impressions. I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. The big word in there is acting. And if you want to be a voice actor, you have to understand that, number one, it is acting. You're just not in front of a camera. So whenever I'm in a booth, whenever I'm doing any kind of audition, or they've had a callback and they have me read some lines for them, I am pumping every bit of energy I can into being able to give them a character. Hopefully, fingers crossed, one that I've been able to create. But when it comes to the type of work I've been able to find through this, it started with TikTok.
I remember I saw some of your videos you used to post where you would duet and voice act and do things like that. Did somebody find you from there, or? Yeah,
I had a small company find me that they were doing some
TikTok's so crazy.
Manga panels. They were and they eventually started doing animation and started doing anime.
Cool.
And they said we could really use your voice on helping promote some of this stuff. And then that turned into there was a small whiskey company on TikTok that needed someone to talk like this right here, and do this blue moon, or not blue moon, but I think it was dark moon whiskey. Wow, my voice is already getting down in there. And then from there, I've learned that having friends in the community, Charlotte film community, is a great place to start.
I remember you interned there.
I interned with
back in the day
through here.
Yep.
Which led me to meet people, which led me to learn that those people actually work with voice actors as well. They work with larger film groups and companies. It's amazing to me. I want to pause the voiceover talk for just a second. I want to mention this.
Okay.
Everything that you learn within a college department, a college program, especially like broadcasting, where you can learn a lot of different things, not only just how to work a camera, but how to write for camera, how to act for camera. And there's something within that for me personally that really clicked being here.
Right.
And when it clicked, it allowed me to understand that what I really want to do is I want to be able to use all the fun skills that I've learned over the years and make money with it. How can I make money with the things that I've learned to do?
Yeah.
More importantly, the things that I was encouraged to really elevate myself within and do.
Gotcha.
So voice acting for me was one of those things that I felt was natural because of all the years in theater and being able to have really creative parents and have that support from them.
Right.
But clicking in my later years because I've learned that, wait a minute, this is actually not a far reach to grab. This isn't something impossible. This is very, very possible. So a friend of mine that I met through the internship of working with this department through there, it's all connected. There's 7 degrees to everything now.
Yeah.
But learning to meet a person named Chris Baker. Chris Baker is a very well-known director in the Southeast. Becoming friends with him. Learning that he may need a voice actor for this project.
Connections. You build on connections.
That's where I'm getting to, is this, you never know who's going to help you find a job a year or two down the road.
Right. I think that's so cool.
Let's not burn bridges, let's build them together. And that's the one thing that I think I've really leaned into. No matter what creative endeavor I've done, it's all about hey, let's connect.
Right.
Let's be friends.
Right.
And
it's that building bridge with people.
To slowly do this so that they can call you back and say, you know what, Kate was really cool to me. You know, when I met her 6 months ago.
Right.
Let's call her in because I think she could do this.
Yeah.
And that's where it really begins. And then you just bring your talent.
Right.
Yeah.
So we are running out of time, but
Okay.
I'd like to know, give me in one nutshell, one takeaway you had from the program or one piece of advice. A brief piece of advice.
I'm put on the spot right now.
Yeah, you gotta pick one thing.
One thing.
One thing that you want people to know.
I think more than anything, all the stuff I've been able to ask and give, I think the biggest thing is realizing what you really are passionate about and pursuing the absolute crap out of it, giving it everything. And
That's awesome.
I hope I could say this on air. Don't half-ass
You
it.
can say crap.
Whole ass it.
Yeah.
Whole asset. Be everything you can within that, because that's going to allow you to make money doing the things that you really want to do, rather than having to work that other job to make the ends meet. I work a lot of these jobs full time.
Yeah.
I'm working creatively full time and paying the bills.
I think that's awesome. I'm so happy to see you doing well. I'm happy to see you doing what you love, and it's always really exciting for me when students pursue what they love. And that makes me happy to see people doing things that they love years later.
I love that I could show you coming back that I can be able to
I'm
be that.
so glad you came. I learned so much today about all the things you've been doing.
There's
It
still
was
more to
quite
talk about.
educational for me. I know we could be here for
Yeah,
days,
I know.
but unfortunately that's all the time we
There's
have.
a time limit, yeah.
Well, thanks for watching Gaston Spotlight. I'm Kate Carmody, and this has been our special guest today, Garin Hyde. If you want to find out more about the program, you can follow us on Instagram on Gaston Broadcast. Are we done?
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.